Hello, adventurers! Ever wondered how you'd fare alone overnight in the depths of the forest? It's a thought that can send chills down your spine, isn't it? Whether you're a seasoned hiker who has conquered the highest peaks, or a casual camper who enjoys the occasional weekend in the wild, the ability to survive a night in the forest is a skill worth mastering. It's not just about the thrill of adventure, but about preparing for the unexpected. A leisurely hike can turn into a survival situation faster than you can say bear. Suddenly, the serene forest becomes a landscape teeming with potential hazards. But fear not. With the right knowledge and preparations, you can turn a potentially terrifying situation into a manageable, even exciting adventure. Today, we dive into the essentials of making it through till morning when you're lost in the forest. So, buckle up and let's get started. When lost in the forest, understanding your surroundings is crucial. This is the point where the casual stroll through the trees takes a serious turn, and a keen sense of awareness becomes your lifeline. But remember, panic is not your friend here. It clouds judgment, causes hasty decisions, and can quickly drain your energy. So, take a deep breath and let's assess the situation together. Start by taking a good look around you. Notice the direction of the sunlight or the position of the moon to help determine the time of day. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and the moon follows a similar path. Your shadow can also give you a rough idea of direction. In the northern hemisphere, around noon, your shadow will point roughly north. Next, try to identify any natural landmarks. Do you see a distinct mountain range, a uniquely shaped tree, or a flowing stream? These can act as anchor points, helping you orient yourself in the vastness of the forest. Now, let's take stock of what you have on hand. Maybe you brought a backpack with some essentials, or perhaps you have nothing but the clothes on your back. Either way, every little bit helps. A water bottle can be used for collecting rainwater, a belt can aid in building a shelter, and even a simple piece of string can be transformed into a fishing line or a snare. But what about the resources the forest provides? It's a veritable treasure trove if you know where to look. Fallen branches can be used for shelter and firewood, while certain plants may offer food or even medicinal properties. But be cautious. The forest is also home to plenty of things that can harm you, from poisonous plants to dangerous animals. Remember, a clear mind is your best tool. The forest may seem like an intimidating adversary, but with the right mindset, it can also become your ally. Knowledge, awareness, and calm are key to turning this challenging situation from a potential nightmare into a survivable adventure. A shelter can make the difference between a rough night and a dangerous one. When you're lost in the forest, the world becomes your potential home, and knowing how to build a secure shelter can be a game changer. The first step is to choose a safe spot. It's essential to consider a few factors here. Look for an area that's dry and level, preferably elevated to avoid any water runoff. Ensure it's not under a dead tree or loose branches that can fall and cause harm. The location should also provide some natural protection against the wind. Now let's talk about the building process. The most straightforward and effective shelter to build is a lean-to. Start by finding a long, sturdy branch. This will serve as your main support. Prop one end of the branch against a tree trunk at an angle, with the other end resting on the ground. Next, you'll need to collect smaller branches. Place these branches diagonally along the length of your main support, creating a sort of sloping wall. The branches should be close enough together to provide coverage, but spaced enough to allow for air circulation. Now that you have your basic structure, it's time to insulate. Gather leaves, ferns, moss, or any other natural materials you can find. The thicker the layer, the better the insulation, so don't hold back. Pile these materials onto your sloping wall, starting from the bottom and working your way up. This layering helps to create a waterproof barrier, shielding you from the elements. Finally, remember to create a bedding area inside your shelter. Dry leaves, grass, or pine needles can make a comfortable and insulating bed. A well-built shelter can keep you dry, warm, and safe. It becomes your haven in the wild, a cocoon protecting you from the forest's potential hazards. Mastering this skill can provide a sense of security and comfort even in the most challenging circumstances. Fire is a fundamental survival tool. It's a beacon in the darkness, a source of warmth in the cold, and a line of defense against potential predators. Fire can also be used to purify water and cook food. In essence, it's a lifeline when you're alone in the wilderness. Many of us are familiar with the traditional method of starting a fire, flint and steel. This method involves striking a piece of steel against a flint to generate sparks. These sparks are then caught on a piece of char cloth, which is carefully added to a nest of dry, fibrous material. With a gentle breath, the ember ignites the nest, creating a fire. But what if you find yourself without the convenience of flint and steel? Well, there are numerous other ways to create a flame. One of these methods is the hand drill. To use this technique, you'll need a spindle and a fireboard, both ideally made from dry, soft wood. The spindle is rotated rapidly between the palms, applying downward pressure onto the fireboard. The friction generates heat, creating an ember which is then transferred to a tinder nest. It's a labor-intensive method, but with patience and practice, it can be very effective. Another improvisational technique involves a battery and steel wool. By simply touching the steel wool to both battery terminals, it will begin to glow and burn. This can then be transferred to a tinder nest to start a fire. Be extremely careful if you choose to use this method, as the resulting flame can be unexpectedly large. There's also the fire plow method, which involves plowing a hardwood shaft into a groove on a softwood base. The friction creates small particles of wood that can ignite into an ember. Remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's not just a saying, it's a survival truth. Smoke is your first sign that an ember is forming, so don't be discouraged if you don't see flames right away. Patience, persistence, and practice are the keys to mastering fire creation in the wild. Water is life, especially when surviving in the wild. In a forest, you're surrounded by potential sources of water. Streams, especially those running fast and clear, are a good bet. But remember, no matter how clean it looks, always purify it before drinking. You can do this by boiling it over your fire, or using a simple water filter made from natural materials. Rainwater is another source. Collect it in any container you have, or even in broad leaves. Dew, collected early in the morning from leaves and grass, can also be a lifesaver. Making a simple water filter is not as complicated as it may seem. All you need is a container, like a plastic bottle, filled with layers of sand, charcoal from your fire, and small stones. Pour the collected water through this makeshift filter to remove impurities. Hydration is key to your survival. Remember, even in survival situations, water is just as important as food or shelter. When lost, being found is your top priority. You're not just surviving, you're signaling. Let's explore the various ways you can alert others to your presence. Creating noise is a tried and true method. Shouting at regular intervals can be effective, but remember to save your energy and protect your voice. Another alternative is crafting a whistle from a blade of grass or a leaf. If you're lucky enough to have a whistle or horn in your survival kit, even better. Visible signals are also crucial. An SOS pattern laid out with rocks or logs can be seen from the air. Smoke signals during the day and fire at night can catch someone's attention. If you have a mirror or a shiny object, use the sun's reflection as a beacon. Flashlights or glow sticks can also be lifesavers after dark. Remember, a well-placed signal can mean the difference between being lost and being found. The forest is home to numerous wildlife, and not all are friendly. Encounters with these creatures can be daunting, but there are ways to reduce the chances of attracting unwanted attention. Maintain a clean campsite, store food securely, and avoid strong scents that might draw curious critters. But what if you come face to face with a wild animal? The key is to stay calm. Each species reacts differently, so understanding basic animal behavior can be useful. For instance, if you encounter a bear, avoid direct eye contact and back away slowly. If it's a snake, stay still and wait for it to move away. Remember, you're a visitor in their habitat. Avoid disturbing animals or their homes, and never, ever try to feed them. Your survival depends on respecting these creatures and their space. Remember, respect the wildlife. It's their home you're in. Survival isn't just about the body, it's about the mind, too. As we've navigated the physical challenges of surviving a night in the forest, it's crucial not to overlook the mental aspect. Fear, anxiety, and panic can be as dangerous as any physical hazard. They can cloud your judgment, make you take unnecessary risks, or completely immobilize you. So how do you manage these emotions? The first step is to recognize them. Acknowledge your fear, but don't let it control you. Remember that fear is a natural response designed to keep you alert and cautious, not to paralyze you. Next, it's about maintaining hope. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but remember, every step you take towards survival, every shelter you build, every fire you start is a victory. These victories can help keep despair at bay and fuel your determination to make it through the night. Your mental resilience can be your strongest survival tool. With the right knowledge and preparations, a night in the forest can be a manageable adventure. We've journeyed through a wealth of survival skills today, from assessing your situation to building a shelter, starting a fire, and finding water. We've explored how to signal for help and deal with wildlife encounters. We've also delved into the crucial role that psychological survival plays in such demanding scenarios. Remember, every forest is different, and every situation unique. But the principles remain the same. Understanding your surroundings, using available resources wisely, and maintaining a calm, focused mindset can make the difference between peril and survival. Don't let fear dictate your actions. Instead, let knowledge and preparation guide you. The forest, with all its beauty and challenges, is an adventure waiting to be lived. So equip yourself with these survival skills, and turn a potential crisis into a story of resilience and triumph. Stay safe, stay prepared, and keep exploring.